neighbor's older brother swore his SS-396 L78 could outrun any GTO on the planet. Then, that Ram Air 3 judge pulled up at the Friday night drags, and everything he believed about Chevy supremacy got turned upside down. This is the story of when GM's left hand fought its right hand, the methodical engineers from Detroit versus the risk-takers from Pontiac, and what happened when 375 horsepower met 366 in the ultimate sibling rivalry that nearly tore General Motors apart. The L78 was Chevrolet's answer to everything. When car and driver tested the 1969 SS-396 L78 Chevelle, it ran 13.12 at 107 miles per hour. Numbers that made Mustang and Challenger owners nervous, and Ford engineers stay late at the office. But more important than the magazine times were the real-world results that L78 owners collected every weekend. Chevrolet had built the L78 396 as their no-compromise big block. At 375 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque, it delivered power with the consistency of a Swiss chronometer. The solid lifter cam provided aggressive overlap that made the engine sound like controlled violence, while the 11.0 to 1 compression ratio meant premium fuel wasn't optional. It was survival equipment. The L78 represented everything Chevrolet engineering stood for in the late 60s: methodical development, proven reliability, and performance that could be documented on a dyno sheet. When you ordered the L78 option, you weren't just buying horsepower. You were purchasing the collective expertise of the most successful racing division in American automotive history. Street racers loved the L78 because it delivered exactly what the rating promised. While other manufacturers played games with horsepower figures for insurance purposes, Chevrolet's L78 actually made its rated 375 horses, and often a bit more on a good day. The combination of solid engineering and honest advertising made the L78 the gold standard for big block performance. But Pontiac's Ram Air 3 had different ideas about power delivery. Rated at 366 horsepower, 9 less than the L78, the Ram Air 3 made 445 pound-feet of torque, 30 more than Chevrolet's finest. And those torque numbers told a story that horsepower ratings couldn't capture. The Ram Air 3 represented Pontiac's philosophy of real-world performance over laboratory perfection. Where Chevrolet focused on peak horsepower figures, Pontiac engineered for torque production across the entire RPM range. The result was an engine that felt stronger than its rating suggested and delivered power exactly where street racing demanded it. Pontiac had learned something that dyno sheets couldn't teach. Winning races required more than peak numbers. The Ram Air 3's torque curve was shaped like a plateau rather than a mountain peak, providing usable power from 2,000 RPM all the way to red line. This meant that driver mistakes, missed shifts, poor launches, imperfect gear changes were less likely to cost races. The marketing department at Pontiac understood the psychology of performance better than their competitors. While other divisions chased horsepower headlines, Pontiac built engines that performed like they were underrated. The Ram Air 3 consistently exceeded expectations, creating loyal customers who became walking advertisements for Pontiac performance. The magazines couldn't ignore what was happening at drag strips across America. Motor Trend, Car and Driver, and Hot Rod all documented the growing rivalry between these two GM divisions. But the real story was being written every Friday and Saturday night at tracks from Pomona to Connecticut Dragway. The L78 SS typically ran consistent 13.1 to 13.3 second quarter miles, with trap speeds around 106 to 108 miles per hour. Numbers that reflected the engine's honest horsepower rating and Chevrolet's conservative approach to performance claims. These were repeatable times that owners could count on, regardless of track conditions or driver skill level. The Ram Air 3 judge, meanwhile, posted similar elapsed times but told a different story. The Pontiac consistently trapped at higher speeds, often 2 to 3 miles per hour faster than the Chevrolet. suggesting that Pontiac's 366 horsepower rating might have been more conservative than Chevrolet's 375. The torque difference was showing up where it mattered most, in real-world acceleration. The technical comparison revealed how two divisions within the same corporation could approach the same problem so differently. The L78's solid lifter camshaft provided maximum peak power, but required regular valve adjustments. The Ram Air 3's hydraulic cam sacrificed a few peak horsepower for maintenance-free operation and broader power delivery. Chevrolet's 11.0-to-1 compression ratio versus Pontiac's 10.75-to-1 represented different philosophies about fuel requirements and real-world usability. The L78 demanded premium fuel and rewarded it with explosive power. The Ram Air 3 was more forgiving of pump gas variations while still delivering performance that embarrassed cars with higher compression ratios. The weight difference between the engines also played a crucial role in overall performance. The L78 396 was lighter than the Ram Air 3 400, giving the Chevelle a slight advantage in power-to-weight ratio. But the Pontiac's additional displacement and torque production often offset this advantage, especially in stoplight racing scenarios where low-end torque mattered more than peak horsepower. Here's where the numbers met the asphalt, and the results surprised everyone who believed horsepower told the complete story. At the 1969 NHRA Winternationals, both cars faced off in stock eliminator competition, and the outcomes depended more on driver skill and track conditions than advertising claims. The L78 Chevelle's advantage lay in consistency and repeatability. Experienced racers appreciated engines that performed the same way every pass, allowing them to focus on perfecting their driving technique rather than compensating for unpredictable power delivery. The solid lifter cam provided instant throttle response that rewarded precise timing and aggressive launches. The Ram Air 3 GTO's strength was its ability to overcome driver mistakes and track variations. The broader torque curve meant that a slightly missed shift or imperfect launch wouldn't necessarily cost the race. This forgiveness made the Pontiac faster in the hands of average drivers, even though expert racers might prefer the L78's precision. Magazine testing confirmed what drag racers already knew. Both cars were capable of nearly identical performance, but they achieved those results through completely different approaches. Car and driver's test of both vehicles showed quarter-mile times within 0.2 of each other, close enough that driver skill, track conditions, and even tire pressure could determine the winner. General Motors management watched this rivalry with growing concern and secret admiration. On one hand, internal competition was driving innovation and performance to levels that external competitors couldn't match. On the other hand, Chevrolet and Pontiac were spending resources fighting each other instead of focusing on Ford and Chrysler. The performance war between GM divisions had created some of the greatest muscle cars in automotive history, but it was also creating headaches for corporate executives who preferred orderly market segmentation over fraternal combat. Each division's success came partially at the expense of their corporate siblings, making overall GM performance statistics look impressive while individual division profits suffered. Corporate politics aside, the rivalry between the L78 and Ram Air 3 pushed both engineering teams to their limits. Chevrolet engineers worked to extract maximum performance from their 396 cubic inches, while Pontiac focused on optimizing torque delivery and real-world usability. The competition made both engines better than either division could have developed alone. The L78 versus Ram Air rivalry established templates that continue to influence performance car development today. Chevrolet's focus on peak horsepower and precise engineering can be seen in modern LS and LT engines, while Pontiac's emphasis on torque production and broad power delivery influenced GM's approach to truck and SUV powertrains. Both engines proved that there wasn't a single correct answer to the performance equation. The L78's precision and peak power satisfied drivers who appreciated technical excellence and were willing to work for maximum performance. The Ram Air 3's forgiveness and broad torque curve appealed to enthusiasts who wanted impressive results without requiring expert-level driving skills. Modern dyno testing of restored examples has confirmed what period racers suspected. Both engines typically exceeded their factory ratings by 10 to 20 horsepower when properly tuned. The conservative ratings were designed to satisfy insurance companies and corporate executives, but they understated the actual performance that owners experienced. The SS396 L78 versus GTO Ram Air 3 rivalry proved that the best competition often comes from within. These weren't just different engines. They represented completely different approaches to achieving the same goal, and both approaches worked brilliantly. The L78 taught us that precise engineering and honest ratings could create performance that exceeded expectations through technical excellence. The Ram Air 3 showed that understanding real-world driving conditions and prioritizing usable torque could make lower peak numbers feel faster than higher ratings suggested. Together, these engines established General Motors as the undisputed leader in American performance, not through corporate coordination, but through internal competition that pushed both divisions to achieve greatness. The rivalry that worried executives created the foundation for muscle car legends that continue to inspire enthusiasts today. Which approach do you prefer, the L78's precise peak power or the Ram Air 3's broad torque delivery? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe for more stories about the corporate rivalries that created the greatest muscle cars in American automotive history.